Hi, and welcome to part 4 of powering up your home office lights using Power Platform. Today we are going to talk about another logic app. In the last part, the logic app we created did an authorization and retrieved the bearer token from the Hue remote API, and we securely store that in the key vault. Today we will look into a logic app that will provide that access token to any callers, which we will see later. This will be the PowerApps and PowerAutomate flows I will create later. And also that logic app will check if the secret is expired, and if so, renew the access token using the stored refresh token. So let's get into that logic app. Similarly to the other logic app, I have a HTTP request trigger. I have changed and used the get method for that trigger, as there are no request body to post in this trigger. And I will, similarly to the last logic app, I'm using a get command against the Azure Key Vault REST API, where I specify the address to my key vault and also the name of the secret. Also using protection for my outputs, so that from the run history the secrets are not visibly shown. Then, adding a compose action, I take that output from the secret. I chose to store that bearer token as a JSON object. And this function, JSON function, takes that output and converts that to a JSON object, so I can process that in the next steps. I need to get the ticks value for the timestamp today. This is the 64-bit integer value representing today's date and time. And I will get the timestamp for 1st January of 1970, so that I can do the same conversion between ticks and epoch, which is the 32-bit timestamp integer. And similarly to the other logic app, I will do a subtraction of the today's time and date with the 1970 time and date, and divide that by 1 million, which should result in a 32-bit integer representing the timestamp in epoch. And with that, I can do a comparison where I check if the key vault secret expiry value is larger than the actual value of the epoch timestamp today. So if that's true, if that expiry is still larger than current time, then I can just return the access token. So in this case, I'm just sending a status code 200 and then return the access token as a content type application JSON, and with the body just access token, and then I present the access token from the key vault secret. If not, if the access token is expired, then the next part is going into the false segment here, and then I will again retrieve the client ID and client secret. We saw that in the other logic app as well. And then I will do a post to the refresh endpoint at Meet You. So there's a second refresh endpoint where I can specify this is a ground type refresh token, and will send that refresh token as a form URL encoded content type. And the body there should be the refresh token and the actual refresh token stored inside the key vault. So The same authentication applies to refresh tokens as getting the initial access token, where I do a basic authentication and a base 64 encoded value of username and password, which is the client ID and secret, also retrieved from the key vault. And likewise, I need to then check, because then I will get a new access token and a new refresh token, which should be valid for 7 days with the access token and 112 days for the refresh token. And then I will add the seconds that the new access token expiry time represent, and do the same calculations here as you saw in my last video, where I get the timestamp in takes. I then do that calculation where I take the difference between today and the expiry time and set a new secret back into Key Vault. So now I'm creating a new version of that secret, a new value, where I take the expiry is the new expiry time, and the value for the secret is the new bearer token containing the new access token and refresh token. And then I can respond that back to the calling user. So here I build an JSON custom response with status code 200, and then presenting that access token back. So if I do a copy of this URL and go to, for example, any REST API client, you can use PowerShell and invoke REST method. I'm just using Postman here. So I have masked out the most important parts that you cannot see. That's the unique signature, part of the SAS URL. And if I click send now, this is the address to the new logic app, it will return back the access token. I'm just masking this as well, so because this is sensitive information. So it works. Let's go into the run history and see for that logic app. If I go in and then I can see that it has recently run. I can do a check and I can see, okay, it's getting the key vault secret. Note that these values are protected because I've selected to secure outputs and so on. And we see that it hadn't expired, so it just returned the access token like here. So it works. And that concludes this part of the video. Next time we will start walking into the PowerApps and Power Automate world. Thanks for seeing. See you next time.